Throughout the British history, few names are as famous as Elizabeth. One was the last great monarch of the Tudor dynasty, ruling England during a golden age of exploration, literature, and military triumph. The other became the longest reigning monarch in British history, guiding the United Kingdom through war, social change, and the modern era. Today, we will explore the complete royal families of Queen Elizabeth I and Queen Elizabeth II. We will meet their parents, grandparents, siblings, husbands, children, cousins, and descendants. We will discover how their families shaped the destiny of England and Britain for more than 5 centuries. The rise of the Tudors. To understand Elizabeth I must begin with her grandfather, King Henry VII. In 1485, England was exhausted after decades of civil war, known as the Wars of the Roses. Two rival royal houses, Lancaster and York, fought for control of the throne. A young nobleman named Henry VII defeated King Richard III at the Battle of Bosworth Field and became king. To unite the country, Henry married Elizabeth of York. Their marriage united the rival houses and created the Tudor dynasty. The couple had several children, but three would become especially important: Arthur, Margaret Tudor, Henry VIII. At the time, everyone believed Prince Arthur would one day become king. Arthur was intelligent, educated, and prepared from birth to rule England. In 1501, he married Catherine of Aragon, the daughter of powerful Spanish monarchs Ferdinand and Isabella. The marriage was intended to strengthen England's alliance with Spain, but tragedy struck only months later. Arthur died in 1502 at the age of 15. His death completely changed the future of England. The younger prince, Henry, suddenly became heir to the throne. No one knew that this young prince would become one of the most famous and controversial kings in history. Margaret Tudor and Scotland. Henry VII's daughter, Margaret Tudor, married King James IV of Scotland. This marriage seemed unimportant at the time, but it would eventually unite England and Scotland. More than a century later, Margaret's descendants would inherit the English throne after Elizabeth I died without children. Henry VIII, the father of Elizabeth I. When Henry VIII became king in 1509, he was young, handsome, athletic, and extremely popular. However, his desire for a male height would transform England forever. Henry married six wives during his lifetime. Catherine of Aragon. His first wife was Catherine of Aragon. Together they had one surviving child, Mary Tudor. Henry desperately wanted a son. When Catherine could not provide one, Henry sought an annulment. As a result, Henry broke away from the Roman Catholic Church and established the Church of England. This single decision changed English history ambitious, and unlike any woman Henry had known before. They married in 1533. Soon afterward, Anne gave birth to a daughter, Elizabeth Tudor. Henry was disappointed because he wanted a son. 3 years later, Anne was accused of treason and adultery. She was executed at the Tower of London in 1536. Elizabeth was only 2 years old. The little princess would grow up without her mother and face years of uncertainty. Jane Seymour and Edward VI. Henry's third wife was Jane Seymour. In 1537, she finally gave Henry the son he wanted, Edward Tudor. Edward became Elizabeth's half brother. Jane died shortly after childbirth. Henry was devastated of all his wives. Many historians believe Jane was the one he loved most. Elizabeth's childhood. Elizabeth's childhood was difficult. Her mother had been executed. She had been declared illegitimate. Her position at court often changed depending on political circumstances, yet Elizabeth proved remarkably intelligent. She learned Latin, Greek, French, Italian, and several other languages. Her tutors quickly realized she possessed an exceptional mind. Mary I, Elizabeth's half-sister. When Henry VIII died in 1547, Edward VI became king. Afterward, Edward's death in 1553, Mary Tudor became king. After Mary was a committed Catholic, Elizabeth was associated with Protestant reformers. As a result, Mary often viewed her younger half sister with suspicion. At one point, Elizabeth was imprisoned in the Tower of London. She genuinely feared she might be executed, yet she survived. Elizabeth becomes queen. In 1558, Mary died. 25 years old, Elizabeth became queen. Crowds celebrated throughout England. Many people believed a new era had begun. They were right. Elizabeth court and possible husbands. One of the greatest mysteries in history is why Elizabeth never married. Many men hoped to become her husband. The most famous was Robert Dudley. Elizabeth trusted Dudley more than almost anyone else. Rumors spread that they were in love. However, she never married him. Other possible suitors included French princes, Spanish royalty, and powerful European nobles. But Elizabeth always chose England over marriage. She declared herself married to her kingdom, the aim end of the Tudor dynasty. Elizabeth ruled for 45 years. During her reign, the Spanish Armada was defeated, English exploration expanded, William Shakespeare flourished, England became a major European power. Yet she never had children. When she died in 1603, the Tudor dynasty came to an end. The crown passed to James VI of Scotland, the House of Windsor. More than 3 centuries later, another Elizabeth would rise to the throne. Unlike Elizabeth I, she would leave behind a large royal family. The story begins with the King George V. George V ruled during World War I. and changed the royal family's name from Saxe-Coburg and Gotha to Windsor. The House of Windsor still rules Britain today. Edward VIII and the abdication crisis. George V, eldest son, became Edward VIII. In 1936, he became king. However, he wanted to marry Wallis Simpson, an American divorce. The British government opposed the marriage. Edward faced a choice, the crown or the woman he loved. He chose Wallis Simpson. His abdication shocked the world. After Edward stepped down, his brother George VI became king. George VI never expected to rule. He struggled with the Severus stammer but became a symbol of courage during World War II. His wife Elizabeth Bowes Lyon became beloved as the Queen Mother. Together they had two daughters, Elizabeth Margaret. Princess Elizabeth during World War II. Young Princess Elizabeth experienced wartime Britain. She remained in London during German bombing campaigns. Later, she joined the Auxiliary Territorial Service and trained as mechanic. Few expected that she would one day reign for more than 70 years. Marriage to Prince Philip. In 1947, Elizabeth married Prince Philip. Philip came from the Greek and Danish royal families. Their marriage became one of the longest royal marriages in history. They remained together until Philip's death in 2021. Queen Elizabeth two children. The couple had four children, Charles and Andrew and Edward. Each would play a major role in modern royal history. Charles III. Charles became heir from the age of 3. His marriage to Diana Spencer attracted global attention. Their sons William and Harry became two of the most famous royals in the world. Prince Anne developed a reputation for hard work and dedication. Many royal observers consider her one of the busiest members of the royal family. Prince Andrew. Andrew served in the Royal Navy and fought during the Falklands War. For many years, he was one of the most recognizable members of the royal family, Prince Edward. Edward pursues interests in television and media before focusing on royal duties. He later inherited the title Duke of Edinburgh. William married Catherine Middleton. Their children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, Princess Louise. Many expect George to become king one day. Harry married Meghan Markle. Their children, Archie, Lilibet. Their departure from frontline royal duties became one of the most discussed royal stories of the 21st century. The death of Elizabeth II. In September 2022, Queen Elizabeth II died at the age of 96. Millions around the world mourned her passing. Her son Charles immediately became King Charles III. With that, a new chapter in royal history began. Queen Elizabeth I and Queen Elizabeth II lived in completely different worlds. One rode in castles lit by candlelight, the other appeared on television, traveled by jet aircraft, and witnessed the digital age. One left no children and ended a dynasty, the other behind a vast royal family that continues to shape the British monarchy today. Yet both women became symbols of stability, strength, and duty. Across centuries, the name Elizabeth became one of the most powerful names in royal history.